Hi, my name is Jessie Hoagland, and if you are watching this video, then you are a paraprofessional or a collaborator who could be working in my classroom with me. And this video is just going to give you some information on what my students are currently learning in the classroom and how you will be assisting them in scaffolding. So the initial lesson I will be teaching has been going over the proper manners and social skills that students will use in their everyday life. So we've been talking about please, thank you, excuse me, and just other ways to act mannerly. And I have also been teaching students about the different food groups, so this lesson is going to flow with that. Your job is going to be to scaffold the instruction for students in a resource room, and you'll just be working with students who may need it. Not all of the students may need assistance, and some students may excel. There's going to be things you'll do for those students which will be a little different, and then some students may have difficulty with the lesson, and there'll be certain things that you'll do with those students as well. And overall, this lesson is just going to be based on the knowledge that they have learned through the initial lessons that I have taught them. So the activity that we'll be doing is that students are going to be role-playing a trip to a restaurant. So they're expected to show how they will appropriately sit down at a table, read a menu, and determine where the drinks, appetizers, main entrees, etc., just different areas on a menu are. And then they will also have to order a meal appropriately. So they'll also have to use the use of manners. And then at the end of the activity, students will determine the cost of their meal. And your role is going to be the waiter. I'll be working with some of the students, and you'll be working with the others. And if you need to, you can direct students to the table manners poster, and this is just a reference. It's located on the wall next to the door. And this lesson is very important because these are practical skills that students will be using throughout their life. And so here's just a picture of the reference posters that are in my room. See, this one has 10 table manners for kids, and they won't really be using all of these like the napkin in your lap, but really they'll just be using this as a reference, and always say please and thank you. So whenever you see a student that is not using their manners, you could just give them a cue to look at the poster. What are we forgetting? That type of thing. Okay, so the first step of this activity is as the waiter, you're going to seat the students. So you will know where they'll be sitting. We're going to have, practice restaurant tables. And so you will direct the student to their seat, and the student should sit down, pull their chair up to the table, and say thank you. And then if a student does not do this in any way, you can give them different cues or prompts. An example would be like, right this way, your table is over here. Maybe if a student goes to sit at a different table or sit by one of their friends. Or don't forget your manners, and then you can direct the students to the reference poster if a student does not say thank you. And as the waiter, you will then give the students their menus. There are going to be two menus. One will have the appetizers, food, and sides, and the other will have drinks and dessert options. So the first thing you will do when students receive their menus is ask the student to show you where different things on the menu are. So ask a student, where are the entrees located, or where are the drinks located, and have them just point to where that is and maybe explain one of the options. So can you tell me what one of the sides are on the menu? And then one of the students should give you a name of the sides on the menu. And some students may struggle to find an area correctly on the menu, so you can just give them some different prompts like, an entree is the main course of food you order, so what type of food on the menu do you think this could be? Since it's a main course, it's going to be bigger than a side. Or you could ask, Do you think a burger would be an entree or a side? Or do you think fries would be an entree or a side? And what type of drinks do you see available? Just different questions to get the students thinking and keep their mind on the target. And these can just kind of like trigger their mind to think, oh, here's the entrees or here's the drinks. And here's just a sample of one of the menus that we will be using. So starters and appetizers are right here. Burgers, sandwiches, salads, and sides at the bottom. So this is one of the menus that you will be using with students. This is the other menu. This one includes drinks and desserts, and as you can tell, both menus do have prices on them. This will be used at the end of the lesson. Okay. So after your student is seated and they have told you where descriptive items on the menu are, you'll ask the student what they would like to drink. And when the student is ordering their drink, they should include the word please. And as the waiter, you will of course be writing down student orders because we will need to know what they ordered at a later point. And some students may want a drink that's not on the menu, and so you will just redirect the student to their menu and say, well, these are the drinks that we offer. And maybe a student could get persistent or frustrated and just remind them that they are in a restaurant and all restaurants will have their own drinks and that we cannot have all of the drinks. So how would you act in this public setting? And also, again, don't forget your manners is another reference for the students because they might forget this. And then after you've taken drink orders, you will ask the students what they would like to order, what type of food. And students are required to order at least a main entree and a side, and they should say please after they place their order. And you will once again write down what the students order. And some students might just get very excited and want to order everything on the menu, but ask them if they were actually at a restaurant, how much food would they actually order? If they went to a restaurant with their parents, what would they get? How much would they get? And if a student is struggling to pick an entree and a side, and is maybe picking other things like 2 sides or 2 entrees, just redirect them to what an appetizer or to what a side is. A side is a smaller portion. So what do you think would be a side? Or direct them to what an entree is. And if students are doing exceptionally well at this, maybe ask them for more details like what do you want on your sandwich? Tomatoes, onions, or there's also a build your own sandwich on the menu, and this could be a very good option for students who are excelling at this activity. Again, don't let students forget their manners. If they do, just direct them to the reference poster. And throughout this activity, just make sure that you're giving students positive reinforcement, like you're doing great, keep up the good work. And then after this, if a student is doing particularly well at this activity, return to the student and ask them what dessert they would like to order. And there is a dessert menu. It is located with the drinks. And if maybe a student is having difficulty with this activity or is becoming frustrated, then you can just go ahead and skip this step. This is just optional and just an option for students who are maybe just doing super well. And so the last part of this project is that students will need to determine the cost of their meal. So in real life, students would have to look at how much the food was and see how much money they had and then be able to decide what they would order. Well, in this activity, students really just need to figure out how much their meal costs. So give students their menus back and have them look at them, and make sure you remind the students what they ordered. This is why you should have been writing down the students' orders all along, so that way they can look back and know exactly what they ordered in case they forgot. And If students are having trouble and are unable to add this up in their head, then give them a piece of paper and they can write down the price of everything they ordered and work out the math on the paper. And if they're still having trouble, maybe be like, well, you ordered a chicken sandwich. How much does the menu say your chicken sandwich was? And then you ordered fries. How much does the menu say your fries were? Well, and now let's add that together. Just talk them through the process if they need it. And certain students in the class are allowed to use calculators, and I will let you know who that is and if they are going to be one of the students you are working with. Everyone else will be fine to use paper and pencil. And just remember that throughout this process, to give students positive reinforcement, maybe a high five, just don't let them become too frustrated because this math portion might be a little difficult for some, and just make sure that you're keeping their confidence boosted. Okay, end of the activity, you made it. So just some reminders for the overall activity is just make sure you're treating all students with respect. Some students could be more sensitive, so just be aware of their feelings and keep up the positive reinforcement to keep their confidence levels high. Prompts and cues are a great strategy to use to maybe trigger a student's memory and keep them on task. But just make sure that throughout this project you are not giving students the answer. Just keep giving them little clues and cues to keep them on track and get them towards the answer. Just make sure they're coming up with an answer on their own. And always be on the lookout for signs of students who are becoming overly frustrated. Some examples of this could be putting their head down on the table, shutting their eyes very tight, pulling a hood over their face. Just be on the lookout for anything like that. And I have made you aware of students who this could apply to more frequently than others. And if this does happen, then just instruct them to maybe take a break, talk to them about what is going on, just make sure they know they are doing fine. And if you need to, then instruct them to go to the cool out chair or maybe take a walk around the room. And overall, just make sure you're having fun. Don't be afraid to be goofy and silly. The kids will love that. Go around acting like a waiter. This is just a fun activity, and the more into it you are, the more engaging it will be for students. And here's just some more resources. This first one is where I got a lot of ideas for this lesson. There's also more options available. This is a very similar lesson where I thought it was neat, but I did not end up using it. This third one right here is a great resource. I thought would be useful for some cool down techniques that you can use with students who are maybe becoming too frustrated or upset. This website right here is a great resource for different ideas for transitional lessons plans to use in a resource room, and it's great for all ages. And I found the manners posters from this website, and there were also more posters available to use on this one. Well, thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. This is going to be a great lesson. I can't wait to see how it goes.